So I really want to make pizza, but I only have $3 to buy all of the ingredients I need. My colleague Lucinda decides to chip in $20, but then I decide to add pineapple.
Which I did not vote for and never would have.
Since making the pizza was my idea, and since I'm the one who actually did all the work, I figured my vote counted more than hers. Sorry, Lucinda. This is how voting works in some public companies. It may seem unfair in the beginning, but it's ultimately a really good thing in the long run.
I disagree, but we'll explain.
So traditionally, when a company issues stock, 1 share equals 1 vote.
But increasingly, companies have been taking on a so-called dual share structure, which gives founders and inside investors outside control in how their company is being run.
Some company insiders, like the founders and early investors, get super voting shares, in which 1 share equals 10 or more votes.
The dual-class share structure has actually been around for a really long time, but since the 1920s, the structure has gone in and out of vogue.
Family-owned businesses as well as news organizations have been the types of companies traditionally to employ a structure like this, because they often want to maintain news independence or keep the control within the family. But now, so many companies are choosing to go this route, and many of them are tech companies. 25% of the companies that listed on a US exchange in 2017 had dual-class share structure, whereas only 1% had it in 2005.
Tech companies that have begun implementing this model in recent years have included GoPro, Yelp,
Google, Snap, Dropbox, Lyft, Alibaba,
LinkedIn, Square, as well as Zynga.
One of the most high-profile companies to use this type of structure is Facebook. Its CEO, Mark Zuckerberg, owns 14% of shares, yet has about 60% voting power at the company. This means that you and I can buy common stock, Class A shares, whereas Mark Zuckerberg and a few company insiders have Class B stock, which is 1 share equals 10 votes.
This pattern of giving founders and their early shareholders an outsized level of power really came to a head with Snap's IPO in 2017. That company gave about 90% of the voting rights to their 2 founders, Evan Spiegel and Robert Murphy. When a CEO or founder holds the majority voting rights in a company, that also means that they can turn down shareholder proposals very easily without input from their investors. So critics argue that the dual-class share structure can promote something of a dictatorship in certain firms, where investors are expected to continuously trust a CEO regardless of his decisions. Shareholders also want more say in the company that they are investing in if it is their capital being put on the line.
I would argue that this is actually great for founders and for innovation in the company. So this type of structure incentivizes founders to stick with the company for the long term and make decisions that will maximize the value. Otherwise, you risk losing the founders and the key management right when the company goes public, with nobody to lead it into the future.
I hear what you're saying, and that's why we're seeing more and more investors asking for a compromise known as the sunset clause. So the sunset clause calls for the unwinding of a dual-class share structure over a period of, say, 7 to 10 years, going to a 1 vote, 1 share model at the end of that period.
That's a good compromise, because without it, companies might choose to stay private even longer than they do now, or not go public at all, which is ultimately a loss for the public investor. And if those companies don't go public, nobody gets a piece of the pie.